60 Minutes Rewind.
Over the past decade, scores of charter schools have popped up all over the U.S., all sharing some common features. Most of them are high-achieving academically. They stress math and science. And one more thing, they're founded and largely run by immigrants from Turkey, who are carrying out the teachings of a Turkish Islamic cleric, Fethullah Gülen. He's the spiritual leader of a growing and increasingly influential force in the Muslim world known as the Gülen movement, with millions upon millions of disciples who compare him to Gandhi and Martin Luther King. Gülen promotes tolerance, interfaith dialogue, and above all, he promotes education. And yet he's a mystery man. He's never seen or heard in public, and the more power he gains, the more questions are raised about his motives and the schools. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
This is the Harmony School in Houston, part of a rapidly expanding chain of 36 charter schools in Texas. They serve mostly underprivileged students, and they all emphasize math and science.
Inside, there's an elastic collision between the gas particles.
What this is a static electricity generator.
Classwork stresses hands-on experiments and competitiveness. Students made this hovercraft out of leaf blowers for a science contest.
That's great.
Being a charter chain means they're public schools, costing taxpayers nearly $150 million a year. So you don't even have a driver's license yet.
But I have a robotics license.
Julie Norton is an administrator with the Harmony chain of schools.
So we have about 20,000 students.
Is there a waiting list?
Yes, we have a waiting list. We have approximately 30,000 students on our waiting list. We have more students on the waiting list than we actually have enrolled in the school.
The education here gets high marks as students get state-of-the-art technology and extensive one-on-one tutoring. You get excited to come to school?
Yeah. I wake up like, woo!
The enthusiasm is hard to miss, as is the fact that many of the teachers are Turkish, some just recently arrived, and hard to understand. When did you get here, to the United States?
Yeah, I got a DV lottery, and because of the DV lottery, I came here.
There are a total of about 130 charter schools like Harmony in 26 states. Together, they form the largest collection of charter schools in the country. Here's what's curious. They're founded and run by immigrant businessmen and academics from Turkey. Why are they building public schools here? Well, the answer seems to lie with this mystery man, the Turkish Imam Fethullah Gülen, who tells his followers that to be devout Muslims, they shouldn't build mosques, they should build schools, and not to teach religion, but science. In sermons on the web, he actually says, studying physics, mathematics, and chemistry is worshiping God. So Gülen's followers have gone out and built over 1,000 schools around the globe, from Turkey to Togo, from Taiwan to Texas.
His message is that if you want to solve any social problem for the longer term, the solution has to go through education.
Businessman Alp Aslandawan chairs a foundation in Houston that advances Gülen's teachings. It's so counterintuitive that people from Turkey would come here to get involved here in education.
People do go to other countries, including Africa. United States, especially in math and science, is not really good, and many parents complain about that. So there is a need for skilled teachers in the United States in that fields.
We went to Turkey to learn more and found Gülen schools are everywhere and considered the best. They're often multi-million-dollar high-tech facilities where girls are equal to boys and English is taught starting in first grade. Gülen didn't only influence education. Starting in the late 60s as a young imam, he urged crowds of middle-class Turks to learn from the West and embrace its values, including an unexpected one, making money. In this internet sermon, he even told his followers, if you don't seek ways to be wealthy, that is a sin in the eyes of God. So his disciples in Turkey became successful businessmen and built a multi-billion-dollar Gülen empire that beyond the schools includes TV stations, a major bank, Turkey's largest trade association, and biggest newspaper.
They love capitalism. It really is very much a business network as much as a religion in many ways.
Andrew Finkel, who's been a freelance reporter in Turkey for 25 years, says Gülen tells his followers to reach out to people of other faiths.
Tolerance is a very key part of their message. And it's not about the use of force.
It's as far away from Osama bin Laden as you can get?
Very, very, very.
Within the religion?
Very, very different, yes.
So I guess one of the big questions is what kind of a Islamic leader is Gülen?
He leads by his own charismatic personality.
Would you call it a personality cult?
Yes.
To his followers, Gülen's like a living prophet, and he used his influence to change the course of Turkey's politics, helping to make it a functioning, moderate Islamic democracy. One thing we couldn't find in Turkey was Gülen. Actually, very few people ever see him in person. He preaches via webcast from a prayer room in an isolated and unlikely location. For over a decade, Gülen has been living in self-imposed exile and seclusion in, of all places, the Poconos, in this gated Pennsylvania retreat.
So does Mr. Gülen live in this building?
Yes, in this building.
To our surprise, Bekir Aksoy, who heads the retreat, invited us in, even though Gülen had turned us down for an interview.
So this is the prayer room. Oh, is that Mr. Gülen's seat, his chair?
Right, whenever he comes out of his room, he sits there and he speaks from there.
And that's where he lives, behind that door?
That is the door behind which Mr. Gülen lives. That is his private room.
Gülen lives there alone. He's never married. The pile of medicine bottles are a reminder that at 70 plus, he's diabetic with heart and kidney problems.
Will he come out? Will we get to see him?
For the last 5-6 months, he is very, very ill, really. When he is ill, he does not accept visitors.
When Gülen came to the U.S. in 1999, it was for medical treatment. But then this video surfaced, in which he seemed to order his flock to surreptitiously take over key government positions in Turkey in a stealth Islamic coup. Accused of treason by the government at the time, Gülen decided to stay in the Poconos, even after he was cleared in 2008 in absentia.
Why is he still in America?
Well, I think if he were to come back, then there would be such a brouhaha, and I think he would be afraid of being seen as being too powerful.
Too powerful because it seems that his followers have taken over key positions in the Turkish government and the police.
If he says jump, people jump. There's no doubt about that.
You know, we have confronted real fear about this movement, particularly when we've tried to get critics to give us an interview. What are they afraid of?
There's a fear of reprisal. I mean, it is the case that 2 or 3 people who've written books highly critical of the Gülen movement are now in jail.
Seeming to have such power, this Wizard of Oz recluse invites conspiracy theories that he's running Turkey from the Poconos and is bent on global Muslim domination. His movement does lack transparency. Its funding, hierarchy, and ambitions remain hidden, leading our State Department to wonder, in cables between Ankara and Washington, if Gülen has an insidious political agenda. And now some of the suspicion revolves around the U.S. schools. Do they serve a function other than educating our kids? One accusation involves immigration fraud, that the schools are providing work visas for hundreds of Gülen followers from Turkey.
And that the whole idea is just to get Turks to come into the United States, and this is an easy avenue for them.
Which is categorically not true.
David Dunn of the Texas Charter Schools Association says that because of a deficit of qualified Americans, the schools bring in math and science teachers from Turkey, as this list of visa applications indicates. Problem is,
we've seen that some of these visas for Turkish teachers to come here are for them to teach English. How does that make any sense?
I'm not aware of that. I can't comment on that. I don't know. I've not looked intimately at the visas that they bring in.
We have English teachers in this country.
English teachers are typically not part part of the critical, or the deficit.
Our tax dollars are paying for them to come over here and take our jobs.
Mary Addy was fired as a teacher from a school in Cleveland, Ohio, part of a Gülen-inspired chain of 27 charter schools in the Midwest.
They want to give you the impression that they're just hard-working guys over here to try to educate our kids because American teachers are just too stupid.
As far as you know, why is an Islamic imam, which Gülen is, interested in setting up schools in the United States?
Because it's a great money-making operation.
The story will continue after this.
Gülen's followers can make money through contracts to build and maintain the schools. But Addy has gone to law enforcement with charges that the schools also make money by bringing in foreign teachers in order to take a cut of their salaries. She says she learned this after marrying a Turkish teacher.
And that's when he told me that every pay period he would have to cash his check and he had to give 40% of his check back because
40% of his
cash,
salary?
Yes.
And you've turned documents over to various federal agencies that you say proves this on paper.
Yes.
The schools dismiss Addy's claims, calling her a disgruntled employee. But federal authorities told us they take her seriously and are looking into allegations of immigration fraud and misuse of taxpayer money in various states, and whether it's somehow being funneled to the Gülen movement. Then there's the internet, where there are incendiary blogs accusing the schools of secretly promoting an Islamic agenda.
You know, there are various blogs that have accused these schools of being backdoor madrasas.
Yes.
So do you think there's a little bit of Islamophobia involved?
I think there's clearly some anti-Islam bias involved in these blogs.
Actually, we looked into this, and Islam is not taught at all. That would be illegal, since these are public schools that go out of their way to distance themselves from any religious affiliation, even denying a connection to the Gülen movement.
I think what matters is the results in the classrooms. Are kids learning math, science, reading, writing at a superior level? And clearly in these schools that's happening.
It is happening. Newsweek voted 2 Harmony schools among America's top 10. More of these schools open every year across the country, and waiting lists just keep getting longer. Gülenists tell us the schools are about reading, writing, and arithmetic, not religion. And Bakir Aksoy in the Poconos says the man behind the door has no hidden agenda. Fethullah Gülen hasn't even visited any of the schools.
He does not want to see the fruits of his work. He just speaks and encourages the people to be good human beings.
That's interesting, because there are schools in Pennsylvania. I mean, not that far.
He has not seen any of them, believe me. He does not leave that room